So you want to learn Angular. You want to learn how to build an advanced and a modern front-end application, something that has a great user interface and it follows best practices. Well, you've come to the right place. Welcome to this course, Learning Angular Basics. This course is a from the basics introduction to the Angular framework. The goal of this course is to introduce you to Angular, and by the time you're done watching this course, you should be able to build a complete web application using the Angular framework. You don't need to know or have used Angular before, but as far as prerequisites are concerned, you're required to have some JavaScript and TypeScript knowledge. Because JavaScript, well, TypeScript really is the language we'll be using to write code in our Angular applications. Don't know JavaScript or TypeScript? Well, lucky you, there are courses that cover both JavaScript and TypeScript that are available on JavaBrains for free. So go check them out if you need to brush up your knowledge of those languages. So apart from that, and some basic knowledge of HTML and CSS, that's about it for the prerequisites. You don't have to know anything about Angular. I'll teach you all that stuff in this course. This is a hands-on coding heavy course. In this course, you will see me build and write a lot of sample code. And as you see and follow me write that code, you will learn more about Angular, how it works, what features it has, and all that stuff. Another thing we'll be doing in this course is learning about the technologies that are involved in developing and running an Angular application. What do I mean by technologies? We are just learning Angular, aren't we? Yeah, but although we are learning Angular, there are a whole lot of other technologies that go into the Angular development process, so we'll need to learn them as well. This is usually a problem for people who are just newly getting into Angular, and this is something that they complain about. First of all, you've got to learn TypeScript. You don't really have to, but it's pretty much a de facto standard for writing code in Angular. Then you have to learn about the Angular framework itself. Then you have to learn about the Angular CLI. Then there's reactive programming, observables, and RxJS, and operators. And then you have to learn about testing using Jasmine and Karma. And then Redux and NGRX. Then you need to learn about the theory of relativity and get a good understanding of quantum physics. Well, thankfully, I'm kidding about the last two, but as you can see, this list is pretty big. And this is a bit of a problem. What I typically do with my courses is teach bottom up. If you've seen some of my previous courses, you will understand what I mean. So let's say I'm teaching you something and that requires an understanding of a couple of other topics. I usually explain those topics first so that you fully understand the foundational concepts, and then I move on to the actual thing I was trying to teach. That way, when you take my course, you can always understand everything that's going on. But here's the thing, if I were to do that in this course, and I teach you every one of those related concepts first, it'll take forever to get to the point where we can even write our first Hello World Angular application. So in this course, we are kind of flipping the balance a little bit. I'll first show you how to kickstart a bare bones application in Angular, and I'll show it working first. And then we'll pull it apart and look at all the things that make it up. So it's not going to be a complete mega course covering everything in the universe that has anything to do with Angular. What I'll be covering here in this course is just what you need to build end-to-end applications. And I've structured this course to give you kind of like a gentle introduction to all the necessary technologies along the way. So here's the contents of the course. Here's what we'll be covering. Unit 1 is going to be an introduction to Angular. We'll be setting up our development environments. And we'll learn about components. Components are a very important piece in Angular. We'll learn about that. There is some importance that we need to give to the setting up process as well. Earlier, like a few years back, if you're working on a JavaScript web page, there wasn't a lot of setup that was required. You would just throw in a JavaScript file, just write the code there, and then attach it to an HTML, and you'd be done. But these days, with a lot of the JavaScript frameworks that are out there, you have a setup process that's required. You are going to be writing code in your framework of choice, and then there is some kind of a process involved in generating a build file, which is what gets deployed. So there is this automated process that happens. There could be a compilation process, there could be a build process. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen to your code after you're done in order to generate the final output that the user sees when they load the page on the browser. So there is some setup process that's required. We're going to be covering that in Unit 1. Unit 2 is going to be about templates, data binding, and event handling. Templates are a way in which you write your markup, you write your view in Angular. We'll learn how to bind data in your templates, and we also learn how to handle events when the user clicks on stuff or types something or something like that. Unit 3 is going to be about services. We're going to learn how to create a service in Angular. We'll learn what dependency injection is and how you can use services across your application in Angular. And we'll also learn how to make REST API calls by using one of the service that comes out of the box. And then in Unit 4, we're going to learn about routing. We are building single page applications, which means that there are going to be a lot of views in your application. We need to be able to have the user move from view to view, and that is happening through routing. And then we will wrap up the course with a summary of what we've covered and possibly some tips about what to explore next. Ready to get started? Okay, let's do this.